If you're struggling on defense right now in Madden 26, you just clicked on the perfect video. Today I'm breaking down tips to help you get more quarterback pressure and coverage exploits to make your zones actually play where they're supposed to. By the end of this video, you'll have 5 actionable tips that you can take in your next game and start locking down anyone you play. I will warn you though, if you skip out on any of the tips, it could be the reason why your defense is still trash here in Madden 26, and I wouldn't want that to happen to you. So don't skip out on any of them, and let's jump right into it. The first tip I want to break down is the new best coaching adjustments you need to be using on defense here in Madden 26. Let me show you. Alright, so that first setting that I want to break down here, if you come to your coaching adjustments, is going to be your RPO pass key. You want to make sure that this is on conservative, because if you turn it on aggressive, your AI defenders are going to be focused on stopping the run, which makes no sense because you can just do that with your user like I'm about to show you. So make sure you have your RPO pass key on conservative. They're going to be calling an RPO, and you can stop the RPO from any formation, right? All you really need to do, come into cover 3, put hard flats on the field, pass commit your defense, and if they don't have blockers out there to block for this RPO, you're just going to see how this is going to be an easy interception and you would be able to score a touchdown. So the key is making sure that you have your RPO pass key conservative so that Jeremy Chin or whoever is at that slot corner position isn't looking into the backfield to try to stop the run, right? You put hard flats, also pass commit your defense. That'll make it even more foolproof to not have him looking in the backfield at all, but like he's going to stop the pass, and then you can just loop around and stop whatever run they have called with your user defender. So you either just loop around, shoot the gap, or you just run through behind the offensive line. So same thing, hard flat, pass commit, then you just run right through here, and then you're able to tackle Quinshon Judkins in the backfield with your user while not sacrificing coverage out here to defend the RPO, because Jeremy Chin would be looking in the backfield. I know that's a huge problem that a lot of you guys are having right now with defending RPOs, stopping RPOs, and it's simply because you don't have that setting turned on. But next, we're going to break down these top 3, these first 3 settings, and these are all alignment settings. So you want to make sure you have auto flip defensive play call turned on a lot of the time, like 95% of plays, so that your slot corner aligns on the same side as your slot receiver, or on the slot receiver, because you see now if I press right trigger, I can flip my play. The problem though is, especially if you come into like a nickel defense, if you guess wrong, right, we call the play like that, and maybe they call gun bunch, right, and they call this play right here from gun bunch. Well, you now see how Jeremy Chin, our slot corner, is on the opposite side of their slot receiver. Now Devin White has to match up with Jerry Jeudy, for example, in man coverage, if that's the adjustment we wanted to make. Whereas if you just leave that setting on, I'm telling you guys, like nearly 100% of the time, EA is going to get it right and make sure that your slot corner is matched up on the same side as your slot receiver. Don't believe any of the nonsense that other people tell you who just don't know what they're talking about, right? So make sure that that's on. Cornerback matchups need to be on balance. You don't want to turn this on by speed, by height. Your defense will crisscross when the offense no huddles, and then you'll just be left giving up touchdowns wondering why. That's why. Turn this on balance. And then the last one, defensive motion response on disabled. The reason why you want to make sure that this is disabled is because what could happen is, especially against like Bunch X Nasty, if they auto motion, what will happen, this is obviously a simulation of me doing it, but your outside corner could follow him across the field. And so as we know now, if they attack you with like a slot fade up the sideline, well, now that possibly could be an open throw if they have a streak on the field. So, and you're just giving up the sideline wide open. So you don't want to have that happen. You obviously, just because they motion over here, we're in zone coverage. We still want our defender. We don't want to give up all this grass over here if they had a better quarterback. So again, on balance disabled for those first 3 settings, those are really going to help your alignment on defense, not have your defense crisscross getting out of position, but then also making sure that you have RPO pass key on conservative to help you stop literally every RPO in the game. Alright, but next I want to break down the best zone drop settings that you need to be using here on defense, because a lot of people are confused, get this wrong, and there's also a huge myth going on right now about which zone drop settings are the best. Let me explain. Alright, so if we come back into our coaching adjustments, which if anyone's wondering, all you have to do, you're at the play call menu, you're just pressing right stick on Xbox, R3 on PlayStation, but what we're going to see is we're going to come into our zone drop flats, and you want to make, curl flats. You want to make sure that you have these on 5 yards. A lot of people right now are telling you because those are going to defend the flat. That's why you want to have them. A lot of people are telling you, hey, if you want to defend the flat, just put them on 10 yards. It literally makes no sense. I'm going to show you why. Because if we come into a cover 3 defense, really any cover 3, you can come into cover 3 cloud. Anytime you have hard flats, right, so they're going to shade their coverage down. And now you're going to look at the play art here. You notice how those flats, normally a hard flat comes down or a 5-yard curl flat comes down. These are going to backpedal right off the snap. Right, and so why that's a problem is it just allows offensive players who just want to hike throw passes to do exactly that. Come up to the line, hike throw a flat, and pick up yards, right? And like you're going to say, oh, that's only 5 yards. But it's 5 yards. The whole point of a flat, I feel like, is to just defend the flat. If you can constantly just hit 5-yard flats up and down the field, I mean, that's a first down in 2 plays. So again, they're going to put their hard flats on the field. And not to also mention that there's some routes where they can break the tackle. If they break the tackle, that's even more yards, right? And so it's like you're also, by not putting curl flats in the field, you're allowing them to catch the ball. And then if you get stiff-armed or really anything, boom, hike throw this, juke him, and now we're able to pick up like 5 yards on that play instead of just, you know, sitting right at the line of scrimmage and really taking away their drag, their underneath pass, right? So if we take a look again, boom, now we can just easily hit that pass. Where's our flat? We pick up like 12 yards on that play because our flat zone is dropping back into no man's land and guarding nothing. But also, not to mention, the flat is really good. He's literally guarding nothing because it's not like he's getting back to defend over the top. If they have time to throw, they can just hike throw this pass, step up in the pocket, and Jerry Jeudy's wide open on the sideline because your flat is essentially caught in what I call no man's land. He's not guarding over the top on the corner out, and he's not really guarding underneath on this flat because you could hit a drag, you could hit a table route, you could do a lot of things on this. So, I mean, look at this. This is open, and this is open if you wanted it, right? So he's guarding nothing, which is why I don't believe in using, 10-yard flats at all. All you really need to, 10-yard hard flats, all you really need to do is come in here and put your curl flats on 5. Now, there's other situations for zone drops. If you're trying to defend corner routes, 25 and 5 from a cover 2 is pretty good. If you're trying to run match coverage, obviously you have to have all 3 of them on default. But for the most part, most plays with your zone drops, you're just trying to defend underneath. You're just trying to just make sure your flat zones take away underneath and then really rely on your user and your switch stick to guard everything else. So we have our curl flats in 5 right here. We have a cover 3 defense, and you're just going to notice how this is a whole lot tighter, and a lot of the time he's not even going to be able to catch that pass because it's such tight coverage, and we can just knock the pass away. So boom, we go with it again, whereas boom, right here, we come up, that's a tackle for no gain. He picks up no yards because we're literally standing at the line of scrimmage and making sure he can't catch that pass, and then all you would really have to do with your user is take Devin White and get back here to stop this corner out to Jeudy. Now we have the flat defended, we have over the top routes defended, all because we have the correct zone drop settings on the field. So again, zone drops, a lot of it depends on the situation that you're in on defense, so you want to change them around, but for the most part, on most plays, if you're just trying to defend underneath, just put your curl flats in 5 yards and play good defense. Alright, so if you found either of those first 2 deadly defense tips helpful here in Madden 26, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. I break down Madden 26 tips and tricks to help you guys get better on defense every single day, and you don't want to miss out on any of the content that I have. But if you want my full Vikings defensive ebook, which goes through the full videos, screenshots, write-ups, everything you're going to need to dominate on defense here from the Vikings playbook, go to the link down below in the pinned comment to grab it today by using code YouTube to get 20% off. Like I said, it goes through the full videos, write-up, screenshots, basically a full walkthrough of how to set up the defense and lock down everyone you play. It's really a great grab, and I recommend you check it out. Let's jump right back into the video, though. Because next I'm going to show you a defensive hack that's going to allow you to get more sheds on the quarterback without really doing a whole lot. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so how we're going to do this is you're going to come into any playbook that has nickel double mug, okay? Nickel double mug, not 2-4 double mug, not 3-3 double mug. It has to be called nickel double mug in order to access this 4 defensive end package, all right? And so what you're going to do is, obviously your package is going to be on default right here, and you just have to flick the right stick to the right or to the left until you find 4 defensive ends. And really what this does, it moves your best defensive ends to defensive tackle, and then takes your D tackles off the field, and then moves your second and third, or excuse me, your third and fourth string defensive ends, into those edge rushing spots. And so really, if we look at it, you're able to see how this guy's basically a third string, this guy's a fourth string. And so, but also we get Max Crosby, right, matched up against an offensive guard without taking a ratings hit. So you're going to see the advantages here. So basically, like it tells you, you have 4 defensive ends on the field and you have no D tackles. All right, so you're just replacing those 2 guys with 2 backups. So what you're going to see right here is I'm going to call any play. You can run mid blitz, or you could just run any of these zone coverage plays right here. And what you're going to notice is Crosby right here. He's matched up now at this D tackle spot. He's going to be matched up against a guard, right? And I think Wyatt Teller is one of the best in the game, but you're also able to see this is our next best guy, and he's going to be able to shed pretty well when he's matched up against Joel Bitonio. So what you're going to notice right here is that's what's going to happen though when you send 4 people. So Crosby is going to get double teamed because, as we know, a lot of the time the job of a defensive tackle is to eat up those double teams. And so the way that you're going to solve this is by, it's optional. You don't have to do this, right? This can still work even if you don't. But if you blitz your middle linebacker now, that introduces a 5th rusher, which means now instead of there being a double team and 3 one-on-ones, now there's 5 one-on-ones, right? And so everyone's in a one-on-one, so everyone now has the same opportunity to win their rep. And just look at that. Crosby just throws Wyatt Teller to the ground because Wyatt Teller or any offensive guard isn't necessarily going to be adept and equipped to block, a guy this big, this strong, this fast, this everything, right? And even the same thing on the other side, where our next best guy just throws Joel Bitonio to the ground and basically they both get a half sack right there. Simply, those are 2 guys that normally they would be matched up against, premier offensive tackles, right? Who have high pass block finesse, have high pass block in general, but guards are more so designed and, built to, run block and do a lot of those things and, communicate, have high awareness, stuff like that. They're not necessarily pass blockers. And so you're going to be able to take advantage of that, again, without taking a ratings hit. You can move Crosby to D tackle, right? You can do that, right, without this package from any defense in the game, but his ratings are now going to go down. But when you use a package, EA doesn't, take his ratings down, and so that's going to help you out, significantly. So we go with it again here, and you're just going to see how, that time, just absolutely no chance. Guy walks in free right through the middle. So regardless if you want to send 4, send 5 with this, it's really not going to, matter. It's just normally just going to make it a little bit easier for you to get that quick pressure, just because now everyone's in a one-on-one. Like Crosby was on his way to just winning this rep again. So they're not going to win their rep every time, but it's like now you have 2 of them, right? And so now neither of them are in a one-on-one, and so they both have a great opportunity to win their rep. Also making sure that you're pass committing your defense, if I didn't already say that, by pressing RB and right stick up. This is going to help your pass rush, tell your guys to get off the ball faster, and just going to make it overall easier to, get that quick pressure. So you see it again, how Crosby just absolutely destroys that guy. Same thing on the other side. So you're able to play really great coverage defense, no blitz, no custom stunt, but you're going to be able to get pretty routine quick pressure because you're taking advantage of mismatches with this 4DN package. Alright, before I jump into those final 2 deadly defense tips that you're absolutely not going to want to miss here in Madden 26, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button, because again, I'm the only one right now breaking down Madden 26 tips and tricks every single day here on YouTube, and you don't want to miss out on any of the content that I have. So what are you thinking? Go down below, hit that subscribe button, and let's jump into the final 2 tips. Which that next one is going to be a way to literally tell your zones exactly where to play. Let me show you what I mean. Alright, so obviously we know that zone drops are a thing in this game. Zone drops are fantastic, but the reality is sometimes you're going to have to adjust on the fly. So what we're going to see right here is, again, you can do this from any defensive play in the game. It really doesn't matter, or any zone coverage play where you have zones in the field, but we're going to be taking advantage of custom zones. So you can custom zone any guy who's in a zone assignment. You can do it on your safeties, right? And you see LB right here, custom zone. You can do it on your corner, right? You can see it again, custom zone. You could do it on your linebacker. You see it again, custom zone. So all you're going to do is, if you're trying to adjust one of your corners, right, you want to make sure that you press Y twice, then click his icon, and then you're going to hold LB to put him in a custom zone. For one of your linebackers, right, you would press D-pad right twice, then press his icon, and then hold LB for custom zone. And if you were doing a defensive lineman, like you put Crosby in a hook, and then you wanted Crosby to, go up further, just like this, then you would still use LB LB to put him in a custom zone. But really what we're going to do right here is I'm going to show you the best use cases for this. So this would be great. Let's just say that you were getting beat a lot with, seam passes, right? Where they're just hike throwing the ball, putting this guy on a streak, and this is just beating you all the time. What you could do is press Y twice, then press A, hold LB, and then to zone stem, which is what we call custom zones, you have to stem the zone up or down. You're going to use the left stick. So I'm going to press left stick up one time, and now you see my hook zone, my hook curl, instead of dropping back to maybe 5 to 10 yards, now he's basically going to drop to 15 yards and make sure that there's no chance that this seam pass gets thrown. Well, that's a crazy animation to be able to catch that pass, but it's like that's going to be fantastic defense for you and do a great job of slowing this pass down because he's dropping this far back. Like this window, they would be insane to throw this. There's basically no airspace for them to, be able to complete that pass unless, our defenders suck right here. But being able to move your guy further back, like you could certainly put your hooks on 15 in your zone drops, but you might want to change that to the line of scrimmage. You might have them on 5 like I do, and then you want to move them back further. Or you might want to move them further down, because the reality is, if you have default hooks like I do right here, and they call a return route, well, your guy's just dropping too far back, and now that's just an easy completion in the middle of the field. But by zone stemming or using custom zones, by again pressing Y twice for your secondary, then you're going to press his icon, and then you're going to use the left stick to stem that zone down. Well, now he's going to be standing at 5 yards. So now he's going to be standing at 5 yards, and so what you're going to see is he's going to do a whole lot better job of breaking that pass up and knocking it away, just like that. Because I don't need to do anything with my zone drops. I just need to be good with my quick adjustments and then stem my zone down. So basically he's standing right here at 5 yards to just be able to break on this pass and knock it away. It's really the best and most foolproof way, to actually adjust your zones. And it's even on the flip side, right? If they were to call a play like this, where they just have a corner route, if they hike this pass, step up in the pocket, right, this corner route's open there on the sideline for an easy possession catch, for a huge pickup. But simply you stemming your zones further up the field, boom, now you have a zone who's stemmed up to 25 yards, and so he's going to do a whole lot better job of actually getting back there and defending this corner out, for an easy interception or breakup every time. So really what I'm telling you here is you need to make sure you're using the custom zones feature, because you're not always going to be able to use zone drops. There's going to be times you want to change stuff at the line of scrimmage, but you need to understand that you have that at your disposal, at your arsenal, and you need to start using it. So again, open the position group, press the guy's button, and then you're going to use left bumper and left stick to control up or down where you want to stem your zone. So start using custom zones to be more effective in zone coverage. And that last defensive tip that you badly need to master here in Madden 26 is actually how to stop the run, because it's really not that hard, but if you can't stop the run, no one's passing the ball on you. Let me show you how to do just that. Alright, so when we talk about stopping the run, there's obviously automatic run defenses that I've talked about in other defensive videos, defensive ebooks, right? But really, I would say year over year, the most consistent way to stop the run is by looping around and shooting a gap. I actually did this earlier in the video when I was talking about, stopping RPOs with RPO defense. You have to be able to stop the run. So I was gap shooting. But again, here, this is like this for every single inside run in the game. And sometimes outside runs are a little bit different, but especially against like draw, against base, against inside zone, against duo, a lot of those runs, you can just loop around and stop the ball carrier in the backfield. So what you're going to notice right here is we're going to stand 4 yards over the guard on the halfback side, and when we loop around, you're just trying to meet the ball carrier at the point of attack. Sometimes you're going to get a bailout where you get one of your other defenders to just tackle the guy before your user gets to him, which is fantastic, right? If we look at the offense's perspective, there's a flame icon over the head of that defensive end, which is telling you he's going to come in clean. But you want to put the onus on your user defender. So I'm going to loop around, and you're just seeing how if Judkins keeps running, he's going to just run right into my user. Luckily, Crosby, on the backside of this play is doing a great job of making this play. But you see, this is the lane that I'm trying to get to with my user, in between 75 and 68. Because I know I can beat 77. Why? Tell her to that spot. You see how he's trying to block me. Now I keep getting, chipped up right here when I'm trying to loop around and make that play. But it's like, that's the gap that you're trying to get to. It certainly takes practice, but literally every single run, as long as you stand in the right spot, far enough back, you're just going to be able to loop around and run through gaps. So we take the snap again, I loop through that gap again, and again, if Crosby doesn't come in clean, I'm right there to, make that tackle with my user. So it's not just against, shotgun runs. You saw it earlier in the video when I did it, under center, just shooting the gap. But really, you don't want to just, too many of you guys would just run right through this, try to run right through this gap in between 77 and 55 when that gap is tiny. You need to come around here and meet this ball carrier where the play is designed to go to, right? Because that's the lane that's open. Force them to cut back into your other defenders like you're seeing right here, or he's going to have no opportunity to make that play. So we go with it again right here, loop around, and then just dive, just like that, where you're pressing X on Xbox, square and play station to dive tackle the ball carrier in the backfield, and you're just going to be able to cut out his legs and make it literally impossible for him to be able to go anywhere. So really the easiest way to stop the run in this game against literally every single inside run in this game is going to be standing 4 yards over the guard on the halfback side, and then just trying to loop around to shoot a gap just like that, cut out his legs, and he's going to have nowhere to go. You don't really have to worry about the run. You can do this from literally any defensive formation in the game, and you're going to be able to stop the run every single time. But if you found any of those 5 deadly defense tips helpful here in Madden 26, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. I break down Madden 26 tips and tricks to help you guys get better every single day, and you don't want to miss out on any of the content that I have. And if you want my full Vikings defensive ebook with even more blitzes, coverages, situational defenses, stop bunch nasty, trips tight end, I go through it all in that ebook. Go to the link down below in the pinned comment. You can use code YouTube to get 20% off. Goes through the full videos, screenshots, write-ups, everything you're gonna need to lock down from that playbook. And if you want to see a gameplay of me running that in a live action game against a real opponent, check out this video right here. I'll see you over there. Peace.